Hello everyone, welcome to the final round of Swiss. It says 0-0-0-0-0, but we've got 50 minutes to determine the winner of Kevin Jones against Julian Wilds. That's where we're going to start, it turns out. And in this one, Jones on 36 points, Wilds on 34. The winner will get to at least 37 points. The 33s are done. Wilds will need to look at his tie breaks if he wins. For Jones, it's straightforward. Win and in. So, welcome to the Marvel Miramatic Universe, Episode 5, Jones against Wilds. And it's Woodweaver's Puzzle Knot opening up for Kevin Jones.
I talked to Kevin Jones before the last round. I'm not sure what he played that round, but he told me that he has been 6-0 in the Teamer Marvel Mirror this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Which bodes well for him, I imagine.
Well, yes, one would think. So Jones untaps with Puzzle Knots on both sides of the board, but Wilds is ahead on energy thanks to that Attune with Ether on 1. Jones turn 3. Here's a Rogue Refiner. Goes up to 5 energy as well and draws the bonus card.
Decent amount of energy now. Next turn, not quite enough to spin a Marvel on turn 4, but getting dangerously close. And now Kevin has this opportunity to resolve. Oh, and looks like he's going to get to spin this wheel.
Here we go.
All right.
Marvel number 1 of round 15.
And he's likely going to just pass the turn here because he doesn't want to necessarily spin his Marvel right away and miss on Ulamog and then have his opponent play a Marvel and spin and hit in Ulamog, because that could bode very poorly for him. So instead he's going to pass the turn, and if his opponent goes for a Marvel himself, then he might actually try to interact. It's interesting here because a lot of the time it's the second lick that gets there when you're talking about these game 1 mirrors. Kevin Jones was telling me earlier today also that he has seen Ulamog be countered by Censor 5 times.
Wow.
5 times. He's done it to people 4 times, and Reed Duke did it to him. So here's the Marvel activation. Spin it to win it. What does he find? Ooh, a Glimmer of Genius. Reasonably strong hit. Combined with that Woodweaver's Puzzle Knot, which will provide him 4 energy because of the Aetherworks Marvel trigger. That is going to be enough for him to spin this Aetherworks Marvel again on the following turn.
Energy up to 2. Saw a forest amongst the 2 cards off the Glimmer.
And he may choose to keep that in order to hit land drops. No, Kevin instead should vote to the bottom.
Drew an Ulamog off that Glimmer.
And not a card you want to draw here.
No. Want it in the deck. Ideally, 6th from the top for maximum drama.
Also has a Chandra the Flamecaller in hand, so Kevin's deck has thinned out a bit of the most powerful hits that he can get. Offering up to trade this Rogue Refiner either with 2 Thopters or the Whirler Virtuoso. Julian having none of it. His life total's healthy. He's not worried about losing the game that way.
'23 plays 20, but this has been an odd day, JVL. We often talk about in Magic, one of the hardest things about following a game is knowing where to look. Are you meant to look at players' hands, their graveyard, their life total, their energy, the permanents in play, their what is it? Today, a lot of the time, the life totals have not been particularly relevant as a barometer of what's happening in the game.
Yeah, I mean, occasionally, you know, we'll see some hyper-aggressive deck, like a Mardu Vehicles, for example, where the life total is very relevant. But especially when you're watching this mirror, the life total doesn't become relevant till a later stage in the game when people are kind of pecking away at each other. Usually, what's relevant is one's ability to be the first person to get an Ulamog on the table.
Mm-hmm. which should mean advantage Kevin Jones here in Game 1 right now, because his access to Ulamog is greatly increased by that Aetherworks Marvel, which has 6+1 energy available to get it going. Julian's already got up to the 6 as the key number, but doesn't yet have the Marvel.
And now Kevin here, again, passing the turn. Wants to be the one activating Marvel second, if that's what he needs to be doing. But it seems that Julian, unable to find himself the Marvel that he needs to be able to fight this war.
Right. So 2 mana, another Puzzle Knot, up to 26.
Yeah, 11 energy now.
Yeah, so we're going to get to the point where there are 2 activations almost certainly available to Julian Wilds by the time he actually gets a Marvel into play, if the game goes that far.
Again, attempting to find this Ulamog. Gonna look at the top 6 cards.
There it is. Yep. I like the fact that we're both aware of that within, you know, round about 4% of the card being on screen. All right. So it's Ulamog time. The Gaping Maw is open 24 hours a day. And right now, the Eldrazi is on the side of Kevin Jones.
Yeah, Julian, I think, deciding whether or not he wants to sacrifice this Puzzle Knot. Oh, no, instead going to use a Harness Lightning.
So Rogue Refiner goes away, and so do 5 cards, but Ulamog does not. So Kevin Jones untaps. 20 cards will disappear when Ulamog attacks, like this.
Yeah, and Julian has plenty of energy to be able to activate a Marvel of his own here. So if he is able to find a Marvel on the top of his library and then find an Ulamog with a flip.
2. So there were 2 Marvels going by there. No, lean forward. Lean forward. Boo. That was less than helpful.
Kevin Jones actually quite a bit of success on the Star City Open series.
Right, okay.
Yeah, won quite a few events over there.
Someone asked, is this the Kevin Jones?
It is absolutely the Kevin Jones. He's never had a Grand Prix top 8. He's won a few PTQs.
Mm-hmm.
I've been seeing him around for ages, the PTQ level, and he's always been one of the strongest players in Northeast PTQs. So he doesn't go to many Grand Prix, so here he is, and playing for top 8. Pretty impressive.
So, Kevin Jones, with the Ulamog, he got his Marvel, he spun it, he found Ulamog, and he won. This is a narrative we've seen before. So Kevin Jones only 1 game away from the top 8. Plenty more top 8 action still to come, of course. And who will be in there? We know that Paul Dean and Ethan Gajewski will be there. We know that Maxime Aubin and Sean McLaren will be there, assuming that they ID'd. Max McVitie and Liam Kane-Mayer have ID'd, thinking that that gets them both in. We agree entirely about McVitie. Mayer could just miss out, depending on who wins the odd point games of the 34s.
Yeah,
but
it's unlikely he misses,
right,
but he may.
Right. So we'll see what happens. Lots more Magic coming your way in just a minute from now. Bonjour tout le monde. Welcome back to Grand Prix Montreal. That's it. That's all the French you're getting. It's Kevin Jones against Julian Wilds. Rich Hagan alongside Jacob Van Lunen here in the booth. While they're still shuffling, Jacob, I just want to do some more standings and results, as it were. But this time from actually, before we do that, we're into more magic. Let's head across town to Daniel Fournier and Jonathan Rowe. Fournier already won to the good. Again, the winner here gets the job done and hits the top 8 for sure. Team of Marvel for Fournier, Black-Green Energy for Rowe, and he's opened up with a Glint Sleeve Siphoner.
Yeah, I've been impressed with this card every time I've seen it over the last few weeks. It, in a lot of ways, feels like a Tireless Tracker. It doesn't apply the same kind of pressure in the mid to late game, but it also requires a lot less mana. And especially when you're playing a deck who's, not needing to save up all that energy to do something like activate Aetherworks Marvel, it just grinds you ahead so quickly. And you end up with all these extra cards in your hand. And if you have a way to be interactive with your opponent, that's going to be really hard to deal with.
So on top of the Glint Sleeve Siphoner, we now add Long Tusk Cub to the board from the Rowe side. Fournier draws a Servant of the Conduit, but is going to play the board sweeper, Sweltering Suns.
That's a great card for Daniel to have there.
So the board is wiped once again. Rowe looks like we may be into Greenbelt Rampager. No, it's Attune with Ether first of all. Up to 5 energy over there.
He could still play a few Greenbelt Rampagers afterward. He may take this opportunity to cast Lost Legacy, which is in his hand.
Okay.
And in doing so, he could take out Daniel's plan A. However, you do let your opponent draw some cards with that, and a lot of the time you don't want to play it until you think that your opponent is going to go for the combo.
So Rowe, having had board number 1 wiped, which was Glint Sleeve Siphoner and Long Tusk Cub, replaces it with some pretty powerful elephants. Greenbelt Rampager ×2. Fournier goes to 3 energy thanks to that Ether Hub.
Yeah, and the nice part about Greenbelt Rampager is he knows that with 4 toughness, it's going to be well out of range of Sweltering Suns. So Daniel's going to have to use 2 cards to deal with these 2 Greenbelt Rampagers. He wants to get them off the table.
Here's that Servant of the Conduit we saw Fournier draw on the previous turn. Back we go to Rowe, working with 3 cards in hand, that Lost Legacy, Fatal Push, and a Forest.
So we can't play both the Lost Legacy and the Fatal Push this turn because of black mana constraints, but it's really up to him at this point whether or not he wants to go for the Lost Legacy and just be more mana efficient, or if he wants to keep Daniel off of 6 mana so that Daniel can't cast a card like Chandra Flamecaller on the following turn, and he could do that with Fatal Push. Playing the Lost Legacy could make his next turn better, but playing the Fatal Push makes Daniel's next turn worse. So,
well, I'm all for making my opponent's next turn worse.
Same.
Just philosophically. I mean,
philosophically, that's the way to do it.
I mean, my life's fine as it is. I don't need to make it better. But making yours worse, that seems like
that's just a deal.
It just seems like a better universe that way. Am I right?
Yeah.
I may have. Yeah, probably shouldn't have said all that out loud. Anyway, there we are. Jonathan Rowe still at 20, Fournier at 15, and here is Lost Legacy, and he's
demonstrating an optimism of the universe.
Yeah. So, Woodweaver's Puzzle not there, Tireless Tracker, and Ulamog. And now I'm just going to have a quick look through and see what you've done. A little bit of bonus information.
Brought in some Confiscation Coups. Confiscation Coup is incredible in this matchup, by the way. Some Sweltering Suns came in from the board for Daniel. Tireless Trackers may have been main.
Nip Dip, for those of you wondering, you've just typed in commentators. Brian David Marshall, Jacob Van Lunen, Marshall Sutcliffe, and Paul Cheon. 3/4 of that is true. Unfortunately, BDM wasn't well today, I'm your host, Rich Hagan, stepping into the breach for BDM, sitting alongside Jacob Van Lunen. Marshall and Paul will be here for the quarterfinals and the final, and we'll be covering the semis together in our own unique style.
I love our style.
Well, it's good job somebody does. All right, Fournier at 15, Rowe still at 20. Fournier, you see all those Ulamogs have gone, so it's a good job he's 1-0 up.
Yeah, and without the Ulamogs, you don't have like the powerful end game that you're really hoping for. The thing is that Daniel can still very easily win with cards like Confiscation Coup, with just by going crazy with a Tireless Tracker. There are a lot of things that this Temur Marvel deck does. It can play as a mid-range strategy, and it doesn't need to do that crazy end game strategy in order to win the game. If anything, it kind of unties his hands and lets him, play a little more free.
So we are going to see whether this Temur Marvel deck can do what it needs to do without Ulamog. As this one continues, we're going to stay here for a little bit because I really am interested to see what happens, whether the Marvel deck can survive without Ulamog. We talk about them winning without them, but it's very different winning without them when you don't happen to draw them or don't happen to spin for them, versus a deck where you cannot have them and you're never having them.
Exactly, and it's worth noting that, Lost Legacy, it may seem like a powerful effect. Okay, your opponent never has Ulamogs again. Well, you're not taking any cards from your opponent when you play that card. You're not affecting their hand or the board state. If you do nab one from their hand, they get to replace that card. So when Jonathan does that, it's essentially like he mulliganed here. And not only did he mulligan, but he also paid 3 mana for that. And now Jonathan's only working with a Fatal Push. And we suddenly see like all of these creatures that replace themselves. Creatures like Tireless Tracker, creatures like Rogue Refiner. These are going to make Daniel have an endless stream of power. And
I'm sorry, Jake, I'm just giggling because it's just the idea of anyone paying 3 mana to mulligan. So what I thought I'd do, I thought I'd mulligan, but is it right if I pay 3 mana for it? Thanks. Oh, boy. Yeah, I mean, when you put it like that, you can see what the downside is, that's for sure. But here is an Aetherworks Marvel for Daniel Fournier. So now that we've got rid of Ulamog, what's the best thing that a Marvel could end up doing for him?
Chandra Flamecaller.
Okay, so we're still in Planeswalker mode in that point.
And that's a very powerful card to hit. And the thing is that, even if you're hitting something like a Glimmer of Genius, that's still great for you. You're still, doing that just by activating your artifact. So here we're going to see Aetherworks Marvel as it was intended. Still a very reasonable card.
So for Kevin Jones fans, just to let you know, yes, they are playing on the other table. We've taken the decision to stay here for now and just see how this one plays out. When this game finishes, we'll go back to the Jones matchup for you. That's Kevin Jones against Julian Wilds, 36 points against 34. We kind of feel we're a bit invested in this one, just seeing how this plays out in the Ulamogless Fournier deck against Jonathan Rowe's Black-Green Energy.
And Jonathan Rowe still working with that Fatal Push, but right now the only legal target for the Fatal Push is the Servant of the Conduit, and that's just about the least relevant thing on the table.
Servant of the Conduit, Tireless Tracker with 1, Rogue Refiner versus Greenbelt Rampager.
And Jonathan Rowe, not a good draw step there for him, and a Tune with Ether. That's, only going to find him another land. I think he has a Blossoming Defense at the ready also, but, Blossoming Defense is very, very, very good when you're winning. It's decent when you're at parity, and it's pretty bad when you're behind. So, Jonathan just falling further and further behind here, it seems.
Yeah. So there is the very pretty Blossoming Defense. But not necessarily terribly useful right now for Jonathan Rowe, who is 1-0 down, so maybe Daniel Fournier is closing in on a top 8 berth here.
you don't need Ulamogs. This is, you know, the proof of the deck. And, you know, people who've been playing Standard for a while have, you know, seen all these energy cards in action, and they're strong cards on their own. Like, yes, you have that Ulamog endgame, but countless times this weekend we've seen these Marvel decks not hit an Ulamog, not even resolve a Marvel, and beat opponents that were playing with powerful cards, you know, like Greenbelt Rampager.
So here's a Whirl of Virtuoso. There's another Marvel in there. There's an Attune with Ether. It's going to be the Whirl of Virtuoso that turns up for Fournier. He's got 2 energy right now, which will go up to 5. Ka-ching. There we go.
Daniel's board just getting more and more out of hand here.
Yeah.
And Jonathan Rowe, I don't think he has a way to get back in this. I mean, he doesn't have any sort of board sweeper. Even if he did have one, it wouldn't be in his deck in game 2 against the Temur Marvel deck, I imagine. He's trying to be the aggressor.
Yeah, like you, most of chat is calling it. And depending how close they are friends with Kevin Jones, they're calling it more and more certainly because they want to get back to the other match. That's the way that works. The more you know Kevin Jones, the more certain you are that Daniel Fournier's won this one.
And that Blossoming Defense is going to take out this Tireless Tracker here, which is one of the most important engines that Daniel had going, by the way.
Yeah. So Fournier up to 7 energy. Live total still 18 to 20, as we remarked at the start of the rounds. In this format, live totals are not frequently a good indicator of who is winning. Couple of mana reaches out for Dissenter's Deliverance. Let's get rid of that Marvel.
And Daniel's fine with that. I think Daniel has a Confiscation Coup in hand now also. So if Jonathan Rowe passes the turn back, Daniel can just steal this Greenbelt Rampager and start chopping in for huge numbers of damage. Like, look at this. He has
1, 2, 5,
9.
7, 9.
Yeah. And
so take the Rampager away.
attack
3
for
turns.
9, then attack for 12, even without adding anything else to the board.
Right.
Or even attack for 15 if you see it fit, because you have Lumbering Falls at the ready.
Go on, Daniel. Pull the trigger on the coup just so we can say the word.
Yeah. We're ready to call it.
We are. I'll have chat do it with us.
Are you ready, chat?
Here we go. Here we go. And after 3, 1, 2, 3, yoink.
Yoink. And he's pulling an elephant also. Think about that.
Yeah, it's just
pulling
like
the elephant
grab it by the grab it by the
tusk.
Just the trunk.
Yeah.
It's like, get over here. And Surma Asa her spells smash. What a beating. Jonathan Rowe is going to pass the turn, and it's going to be possibly his last turn of the tournament.
I imagine it will be.
Brazen0603 asks, what's with the yoink? Which I bet, Brazen, when you woke up this morning, wasn't a phrase you expected to type into anything.
Yeah.
It's all part of the
Especially
service.
It's described, you know, stealing an elephant via his trunk.
Yeah. it's what happens on Confiscation Coup.
It is the official saying of Confiscation Coup.
The official Magic sound effect library.
Yeah, it's a lot more cheery than Tezzeret extorting something
it's like,
from, you know,
hand that over now.
Yeah.
It's like some East End gangster thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yoink is, yeah, there's something playful about annihilating people with a yoink. So there we are.
Yeah, and Daniel Fournier, no Ulamogs in his deck. Just playing value energy creatures, able to overcome Jonathan Rowe. We see Confiscation Coup, again, being a powerful 2-for-1. We talked about this earlier today, but again, it's worth noting just how strong control magic effects are. And, you know, we talk about card advantage all the time, and that being one of the best ways to win a game of Magic, to beat your opponent.
Yeah,
on card advantage.
I tell you what, for those of you going, where's Kevin Jones? I think we should show you. Let's work on the basis that Fournier is just about got this one, and if not, well, we can always pop back. Why don't we head across town to the Kevin Jones match for you? Let's see what's going on in that one. Here it comes. Who's the daddy? Kevin Jones is the daddy. And for those of you wondering where that comes from, the answer is that's his Twitter handle. Is it Big Daddy? Is him on
it's
Twitter?
something of that like. I'm not sure exactly, but I know that for sure that he goes by Daddy.
He's known as Daddy. Right?
That he is certainly Daddy.
So there we are. Here is Kevin Jones. He's 1-0 up, but on the other side of the table, Julian Wilds has 2 Thopter tokens, a Woodweaver's Puzzle Knot, which is not especially relevant at the moment, other than it can get up to 7 energy, which would represent 2 more flyers, a Manglehorn, and a Whirler Virtuoso. All Kevin Jones has is a Rogue Refiner, and yeah, he's casting a Glimmer of Genius right now.
That Manglehorn that's in play for Julian Wilds there is very important, because that means that every Aetherworks Marvel that Kevin plays will come into play tapped. So he won't get an opportunity to spin the wheel the turn it comes into play. He'll have to pass the turn and risk it getting destroyed by something else. And now things are kind of down to the wire for Kevin here. He really needs to find some way to either clear this board or to start. Ooh, well, that's something.
Well, okay.
Now, this is a card we haven't seen much this weekend. This is a Nissa's Renewal.
Right, so this is 7 life?
Yeah, he's going to gain 7 life and search his library for 3 basic lands and put them into play.
Also known as the alternate version of Paul Dean's Shrine of the Forsaken Gods.
Yeah. Now, and the thing is, Kevin has multiple Ulamog stranded in his hand, and now he's going to be able to cast all of those thanks to Nissa's Renewal. And most of these Marvel decks you're seeing this weekend, they're playing, I think, probably 5 to 7 basic lands. Kevin's deck is playing 9 basic lands so that he can play with that Nissa's Renewal.
Here's why. That's neat. Yeah, I can subscribe to Nissa's Renewal. That seems good.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Kevin also playing, a version of the deck that plays Censor in the main deck over Servant of the Conduit, which is something that Eric Froelich did at the Pro Tour to great success.
Okay.
Over the last week, that's fallen out of favor with a lot of people, but it seems to be working well for Daddy this weekend.
Yeah. So there's an Ulamog or 2 in Kevin Jones' hand, I think. 2? Yeah. 2 Ulamog over there. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana.
3 Ulamogs in his hand.
Okay.
Yeah. Just not really what you want to happen. Want to have happen.
No, but he's going to get to 10. Or is he going to run out of time?
I think he's going to run out of time because next turn he gets to play his 9th land.
Yeah, he gets hit for 7. There's a block on 1. He takes 5. Here, if he blocks with the Rogue Refiner, the Puzzle Knot makes another flyer. That would be 5 this turn, 6 next turn. Yeah, potentially he's just 1 turn shy of Ulamog, and even then maybe not enough. So Julian Wilds looks like here's a Harness Lightning to clear the path and get a little more energy because he only needed 2.
Yeah, now he gets coming for 7. So he's putting Kevin down to 4.
Yep.
And with that Puzzle Knot, he's even going to have 4 points of flying in the air next turn.
Yeah, this looks very much like we're done. But we'll stay put for all you Kevin Jones fans so you can watch him lose.
Yes.
I'm such a lovely person. So, no, in all seriousness, and we will, of course, see Game 3 of this one. This is looking pretty good. And we'll see who can come out triumphant. Remember, the winner here, if it's Kevin Jones, 100% into the top 8. Julian Wilds at 11-2-1 with that draw. If he wins, well, that will take him to 37 points. We think that will be enough to put him in. There is a combination of results where someone on 37 misses out. But we will have to see. So there we go. It's 1-1, Kevin Jones, Julian Wilds. I just wonder, can we, while they're shuffling, Rashad, can we pop across back to the second table? Is anything happening there, or are they in shuffle mode too? Anything going on there? Oh.
Nobody's even here. It's a ghost town.
Oh, wow.
Maybe there was some sort of wrinkle in time, and both of the players are, trying to figure out what happened.
So, I think it's St. Christopher who's the patron saint of travelers, or something like that, right? I don't know who the patron saint of coverage is, but just imagine if we'd had to talk all the way through the judge call.
I think
that
you are.
must still be going. I'm the patron saint of coverage?
That's my understanding of the situation.
And here they come back again. Thanks. Welcome back in the... Oh dear. Ooh. Is that a result based off a game loss? Oh, that does
No. That is not a result off of game loss.
Oh, that's
a draw.
They've decided to draw at that point to both go to
ID.
37. Okay. Okay, so they both go to 37.
They may have
McVitie's
seen
37. Mayer's 37. Oba presumably having ID'd with Sean McLaren. 38 to 37. And wow, so someone on 37 is going to miss out now, for sure, because if Kevin Jones wins, he will be on 39, and then one of McLaren, McVitie, Mayer, Rowe, and Fournier will miss out because Dean, Gajewski, Oba, and Jones will be in. If Wilds wins and goes to 37 points, then there will be 6 players on 37 points competing for slots 4 through 8.
Yeah, and the thing that this does also is this means that Julian Wilds is dead for top 8.
No.
Right?
No. He can. No, Wilds can get to 37. He's fine. We know that Evan Whitehouse is dead for top 8. If Wilds goes to 37, he is in the mix for
he's
top
in
8
the mix, you're right,
with all the 37s. Now, the one that's interesting is going to be our time walk match, which is Paul Otsubo against Evan Whitehouse. Whitehouse can't make it in. He goes from 33 to 36 with a win. But Otsubo on 34 gets up to 37 points with a win and joins the 37-point scrum for our top 8 announcement. Now, the way, if you're new to coverage, welcome along. The way we're going to do this is Jake and I, who will not know who is in the top 8 when we start watching Time Walk. We will not know who won the Paul Otsubo match. We will watch it with you as if it is live.
Yes.
At some point, we will get handed the top 8 list. At that point, I will read you 7 of the top 8 names and not tell you the result of the Otsubo match that we will continue to watch as we head towards the top 8. So maybe I only give you 6 names because it turns out that the winner of the Otsubo match is relevant to 7, 8, 9, 10. So we'll see how that goes. And if you are desperately impatient to find out the full composition of the top 8, you will be able to do that as soon as it happens on Twitter following the Magic Pro Tour account. You'll see all top 8 names there, but here on the stream, we will play out that time walk match as if the top 8 is not known, and we will not reveal the last couple of players to you here. So if you desperately need to know, you can look it up. Otherwise, just stick with us, and by the time we've revealed that, it'll be pretty much time for the quarterfinals with Marshall and Paul. So here we go. It's all the marbles for Kevin Jones. Julian Wilds looking to get into the 37-point scrum. One game to see who gets to the top 8. Kevin Jones opens with Botanical Sanctum and a mountain, and a very pretty mountain at that. Julian Wilds is heading for a second land as well. No non-land permanents yet between them. There's an Ulamog in hand for Kevin Jones. A couple of Harness Lightnings in there. Thought I saw a little glimpse of a Chandra Flamecaller as Julian Wilds cycles Sensor and now casts a tune with Ether.
It looks like Julian Wilds does have some number of Ulamog straight in his hand already, and that's a good sign for Kevin Jones. Oh, Kevin Jones also with an Ulamog in hand, so that similar disadvantage. Both sides.
So Daniel Fournier just walking past, just nodding to a friend and saying, yep, ID'd, so believes that that's going to be sufficient. Again, it looks by our reckoning, only one person on 37 points is going to miss out on the top 8. And that could be a Julian Wilds. It could be a Paul Otsubo if he wins our time walk match. So Fournier is probably in good shape at this point, and certainly looks reasonably pleased with himself.
Now Kevin Jones missing his 4th land drop here. has a Glimmer of Genius, has an Aetherworks Marvel in hand, but you know those cards aren't going to do anything if he's unable to find that 4th land, and he's finding himself in a pretty bad situation here. His opponent already has 7 energy.
Harness Lightning for the Whirler Virtuoso. Will Julian Wilds respond with a flyer? He will.
Yeah, and here Kevin, by using the Harness Lightning on the Whirler Virtuoso with the energy trigger on the stack, he ensures that Julian is only going to be able to get the 1 token. And there, also, Julian seems to have forgotten to give himself another 3 energy. And that's on Julian, so another thing that bodes well there for Kevin.
Yep, another quick look off the Glimmer of Genius. There's a Harness Lightning there amongst the 2. One is going on the top, one on the bottom. Let's see whether it was the Harness Lightning. No, he got rid of the Harness Lightning. He's now got a Rogue Refiner, and look, is that a negate that he drew off there? I think it is, yes.
Yeah, he has a negate and at least 1 Dispel in hand as well.
Things looking very presentable for Kevin Jones. Still 13 minutes left in the feature match round. That means a few minutes less than that in the main round. Looking out in front of us, in front of our coverage area, it looks to me like all the significant matches are done. All the top tables seem to be finished, other than the ones in the feature match area. We're watching pretty much everything of significance here, with still plenty of time to get this one cleanly done.
And again, we see another Whirler Virtuoso, and throughout this weekend, we've been really impressed with the power level of that card. Kevin with some options here. Still, the only land he has comes into play tapped, so if he does decide to, you know, cast a Manglehorn or something here, he's going to leave himself open.
Well, that had the look of Marvel time. But then he untaps the 4.
Yeah, trying to decide what the right play is here. I mean, he has a lot of options. He could play Aetherworks Marvel and attempt to spin later. He could just play a Rogue Refiner. So he goes with the Marvel. And I like this. He knows this is an opportunity where he can resolve this card. Julian only has 1 blue open. So obviously Dispel cannot counter Aetherworks Marvel. So this lets Kevin stick this card. Unless Julian has some card that kills an artifact in his hand, then he's going to be hard-pressed to get this off the table. And suddenly every card that creates energy for Kevin becomes a must counter, basically, for Julian. Like something as unthreatening as a Rogue Refiner is suddenly very dangerous.
Yep.
All right. Looks like both players now have Aetherworks Marvel at the ready. Conveniently for Kevin, I think he does have a way to get the Aetherworks Marvel off the table, and a nice way. Manglehorn killing that Aetherworks Marvel and ensuring that all Thopters and Aetherworks Marvels will now come into play tapped for Julian. So Julian is going to have to kill this Manglehorn before he gets a chance to cast an Aetherworks Marvel and activate it on the same turn.
Yeah, and whilst Manglehorn may have started life with a somewhat different purpose, it's nice to see it actually doing some work in a constructive format.
Absolutely.
As Julian Wilds untaps with 4 land available. We know that Kevin Jones already has 1 Ulamog in hand, thus reducing the odds off the Aetherworks Marvel.
Yeah, Kevin here with negate mana up. Once he gets more lands, he's not only going to have the ability to negate things, but he'll also be able to dispel. Interesting play that could come from Kevin here. He could chump block the Whirler Virtuoso, put himself up to 4 energy, and then on Julian's end step, he could use Harness Lightning and deal 1 damage to the Whirler Virtuoso, thus putting him up to 6 energy.
Right. And correct me if I'm wrong, 6 energy, quite an important number.
Absolutely.
go.
Of course, there are things that punish that line of play. So,
Right.
It's not necessarily the case that Kevin didn't see it, but it may be that Kevin, chose to play a safer route where he would leave open negate.
And a safer route when you do have the Marvel down is very tempting, and he's still at 12, and there's no immediate threat of bonus flyers coming. Only 2 energy for Julian right now. Kevin gets his bonus card back from the Rogue Refiner.
Ooh, and what's this in his hand? Some exciting green card.
No, it's not true about BDM. BDM's poorly today, and I'm sitting in for him. And it is possible that those words were uttered on the stream, and for 1 second,
people may have believed
there
that.
was a pause, and then I said, actually, BDM's not very well. Yes. Yes. BDM handled that interview wonderfully and showed what a fantastic professional broadcaster that man is. Make no mistake,
Absolutely.
there are any number of very talented people who could have been in a terribly difficult position there. And no blame to Martin either. Martin's a human being and a player, and it's utterly fine. And everyone was very relaxed about it afterwards. Just, one of those things. And it's just someone being real, right? I mean, he was talking the way he is. But hats off to BDM for really a very, very nice save there. And we've had lots of fun meanwhile seeing all the assorted memes.
Yes.
On the internet has proved a very valuable ally over the past week. It's been great. And I know that BDM's enjoyed it all too very much. So
I've appreciated the Andy Warhol.
I mean, that's his Facebook
banner now? Yeah,
I think so, yeah.
It should be. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's super good. So no, I can confirm that BDM is very much part of the coverage team. I think you're going to see him in Omaha in a couple of weeks' time, while we're in the European team will be in Amsterdam, and BDM will be leading the charge at GP Omaha. But we've still got some top 8 players to find you for this GP here in Montreal.
He's hungry for weird things. Appetite for the unnatural. They're looking really nice. I mean, able to kill that Aetherworks Marvel. It came into play tapped thanks to the Manglehorn.
Yeah.
And now, not only did he kill that, but he also gained 2 life, which is surprisingly relevant with these Thopters pecking away.
Right, because it's a 4-turn clock right now. Julian Wilds is very much in on the can I kill you with Thopters plan. And to be fair, it's not a bad plan, because Wilds is up on 20, in for 3. Jones theoretically to 9, unless he happens to have a Harness Lightning to reach out with. 6 minutes left. In the event, just to fill you in, of a draw here, Kevin Jones would go to 37 points, which would put him in the scrum. It is of no benefit to Wilds whatsoever. That would put him to 35 points, and he would be done.
And now this Tireless Tracker making a clue. Julian, again, as we've seen, attacking from a somewhat unique angle here.
Yeah, 7 energy for Jones.
Yeah, and I like this. Kevin, instead of using the Marvel
Here we
as
go.
such on the thing, he's doing it so he can get more energy.
Land, negate, something blue. Okay, Torrential Gearhold.
That seems pretty nice.
It does.
Yeah, so this is either going to flashback Glimmer of Genius or a Harness Lightning. Depending on how much pressure Kevin feels like he's under. You use one or the other. And it looks like a Harness Lightning on that Whirler Virtuoso.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, that is the threat, right? Because if the energy keeps going up, then if even at 2 a turn, we're currently at a 5-turn clock against Jones, and he's starting to assemble a board that is going to be able to race that potentially. But soon as enough energy came down for a 3rd Thopter, that would seriously shorten the clock. Jones with 5 cards. Wild still battling away. Here's Harness Lightning. Take out the Manglehorn. Gains 1 energy.
Oh, so he's actually using the Harness
1.
Lightning. He's using the Harness Lightning and not killing the Manglehorn,
Okay.
just using it for 3 energy to create another Thopter.
To get the Thopter.
And that gives him 3 points of power in the
3-turn
air.
clock.
And his opponent's at 9, has no flyers. That's how he sees a way to win.
Right. I mean, he looks like he's been on that plan for a while, basically. Now, here's Chandra Flamecaller.
And that can -1 and end that plan quite quickly.
Yes. And by quite quickly, we mean now.
Yes.
Now. Go away. Flyers in the bin. Is that Julian Wild's hopes in the bin?
It looks like it. I mean, he still has this Tireless Tracker, but now there's Torrential Gearhulk on the other side of the table. Kevin has the Aetherworks Marvel. Julian does not. Julian's down to 0 energy. Kevin tapped out for this turn, but as soon as he untaps, he's going to have Negate and Dispel at the ready to go with this massive board. And he has a Chandra Flamecaller in play. It looks like things are winding down, and Daddy has given the children a lesson on how to play the Temur Marvel Mirror, and that means Kevin is now going to be 7-0 in Temur Marvel Mirrors over the course of the weekend. 7-0.
So he's basically, you know that everything that's true
He's basically
has the exception
Daddy.
to the rule, right? Everything everything that's true has an exception. So, to the true statement, no one wants to see 8 Temur Marvel decks in the top 8. Kevin Jones is like, hell yeah.
Oh, Kevin Jones would love to see 8 Temur Marvel decks on the top 8. For what it's worth, Paul Dean has also been beating the living stuff out of other Temur Marvel decks all weekend. So Paul Dean, who is going to be the 1 seed in this top 8, has also had a similar run to the top of the standings here, has just been destroying the standings.
So Kevin Jones with a board state that has developed and developed. It looked like he might have been in trouble to the Flying Thopters of Julian Wilds, but now Rogue Refiner, Torrential Gearhulk, Manglehorn, and an Aetherworks Marvel all out in front of a Chandra Flamecaller that utterly changed the game last turn, is opposite Julian Wilds with a Tireless Tracker and Rogue Refiner sitting over there.
And now just, it looks like Kevin's going to be able to run away with this game, as if he hasn't already. And Chandra, extremely powerful card. And Tireless Tracker is strong, but it's not this strong.
No, it has won many games. This is unlikely to be one of them. Closing in on the end of round 15, a reminder that we have a Time Warp match to bring you, which we currently don't know the result of. That's between Paul Otsubo and Evan Whitehouse. Whitehouse cannot make the top 8 regardless of a win. Paul Otsubo, though, with a win, would get to 37 points and be in the mix for that top 8 berth.
So now Kevin coming across for 11 points here. The Tireless Tracker can just block and eat one of these elementals, but Julian would still be taking 8, falling down to 9 here, and then Kevin has all of this mana untapped. Kevin has Negate and Dispel in hand.
Ugh. Yeah, this one is very close to done. I'm going to guess, Rashad, that this is our last match of live action right now. We have more. Yeah, this is the last. Okay. This is indeed the last live match, so it'll be Time Walk coming up after we get a little breather once this is done. And how close are we to done? Again, reminded that draw does nothing for Julian Wilds. For Kevin Jones, that'd be kind of okay, though quite clearly now he absolutely wants to just put the nail in the coffin, get the 3 points, and move on to the top 8.
Absolutely, and I mean, here, this is looking great for him. They're going to go to turns, though, so he needs to close this game. and it looks like he may only have 2 more turns to do it. So
Yeah, well, we will have to check on exactly what's happening with the timer there, because that gives you the feature match area in general. But we don't 100% commit that 0:00 is the second that the judge calls time. So we will check. Apparently, they have just under 3 minutes left for these two still to go.
And now Kevin can just chump block his tireless tracker. After casting Nissa's renewal on the last turn, though, Kevin's life total suddenly completely safe. Nothing can really go wrong in that regard. And he has 9 lands in play, which means if he draws 1 more untapped land, Kevin is going to be casting Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger the hard way.
Yeah, and the one that he's had since his opening hand. It was his mulligan at the start of the game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's the 10 dual commandments. Lane number 10, make Ulamog. Can he? No, but he got another counterspell out of the deal. Looked like maybe another Dispel went into hand. 3 mana, Rogue Refiner, add to the board. When those flyers went away, it looked like Julian Wild's chance went away.
Yeah,
Yes, Vesuva Catheter, thank you. Glad someone's paying attention.
So now 2 of these, and it's time to do some math and see if... Oh, interesting. All right, Kevin not sending with a 5th creature, not with this other Rogue Refiner. He could have chosen to do so, considering Julian's at 9 and only has 2 blockers. That would have meant that Julian would need a removal spell in order to survive. And as we know, Kevin has plenty of counter magic in hand.
Yep. This is so done. Kevin Jones, hats off, and great run by Julian Wilds. I mean, anytime you can go 11-3-1 at a GP, that's a great weekend's work, but he is going to fall short, it looks like, as we head towards the top 8 of Grand Prix Montreal.
Oh, excuse me, I spoke too soon. Yes, the lumbering falls on Julian's side of the table would actually change the math on that.
But
Julian
in a pretty Pyrrhic sense.
Yes.
Right? I mean,
course.
this is like, could I please have 1 extra turn on camera?
Yes.
Rather than, please, can I now win and advance to the top 8 and have a trophy show in 3.5 hours?
Yes.
Right.
Precisely.
Just checking.
Yes. The game is been done for a few turns now. I think that the Chandra the Flamecaller was really the nail in the coffin, if you will. Yes.
Yep. -1, flyer, gone, gone, gone. So Julian Wilds with an Ulamog of his own in hand, 8 land, a tireless tracker, 2 energy, draws an Ether Hub on what may well be his last turn at Grand Prix Montreal.
Oh, wow. Does he have he has a Shrine of the Forsaken Gods in his hand. He can cast an Ulamog this turn.
Okay.
Does that change what's happening here? I don't know if that's...
does it?
Yeah, I don't think it's good enough.
You go to 10, you make an Ulamog, you kill... Oh,
Chandra
no, you do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Chandra,
you kill
Rogue Refiner. Then...
Okay.
All right.
Let's see what happens.
Oh my goodness, this is the best.
If this comes back.
This is the best.
Shrine of the Forsaken Gods.
See, Kevin has a lot of play here, though, because Kevin can cast Glimmer of Genius once the triggers are chosen for this Ulamog.
Okay.
And then he can spin his own Marvel. And that means that, so then he can spin the Marvel and,
Right.
you know, if Julian is not killing the Marvel as one of his... Okay, so this is time. Oh, so this... The time issue may actually come into effect here.
So we're at turn 0. That means Kevin will have 3 goes at this to get the last 3 points done. So exactly what you said, Jake. Up to 7 energy. Glimmer. So there's an Ulamog there.
Yeah, puts
So
it on the bottom.
Yeah, so you draw 2. Which, by the way, means that had he activated the Marvel, he would now have an Ulamog. So now here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Oh, it looks like he may have just like whiffed altogether.
I mean, Tyler's Tracker, sure.
It's a lethal attacker.
That's enough, isn't it? Because all that's left is this Ulamog. Julian had tapped out to do it. He kills 2 things. There are 2 creatures left.
Yeah, what did he target with the Ulamog? What was exiled with the Ulamog? A land and the Chandra?
Yeah.
Okay, so here Kevin can get in for
There
2.
are 3 attackers, yes. Oh, wow.
Not quite enough.
Land, 8, 10. Ulamog.
Boom. Yes.
Bang!
Wow, what a finish.
Get
in extra turns.
In. That was
Kevin
beautiful.
Jones finding his way into the top 8 here.
Sir Lamb, that forest, that's number 10. That's Ulamog the hard way. He did win it the hard way. Kevin Jones, 13-2. Julian Wild's out. Kevin Jones through. Congratulations to him. Wow-y. Now, do we have a top 8 yet? Well, it depends on the outcome of Paul Otsubo and Evan Whitehouse. We are going to show you that match after this.